We're live on Twitch. Yep. Alrighty. Facebook group. And then also and we are coming live on, yes. All right. Then I just put it on yours as well. All right. Good evening, everybody. And welcome to another episode of After the Message. I am the Church Ministries, and we're glad to greet you on this evening at 5 o'clock p.m. Every Monday, you could catch us 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 o'clock on the east side, and about 3 o'clock on the west side. All right. And if you're on the other side of the world, you just got to catch it. So we appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, tonight is going to be a phenomenal conversation after the message. It's definitely a message that we all need to display. Usually after the message, you guys, after the message is just nothing but a conversation piece about the sermon that was preached the day before. And I wonder, like, a lot of people have so many questions after the message, right? And it's not like you can raise your hand and say, hey, got a question over here. Could you please go back to that point? And a lot of times that might be effective, right? And it can be. So as we look at today's message, and we want you to, before we jump into the topic, I would invite everyone to like, share, and comment. Yes, we are on YouTube. We are up on Twitch, and we are on Facebook. And so if you're on Facebook right now, YouTube or whatever, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We appreciate it. And so we can dive into this conversation about yesterday's message. All right. So if you have not seen yesterday's message, do advise, go back and watch the remaining message. That's what After the Message is designed for us to have conversations, and so we can make it flush, as the older folks used to say, and see how we can connect, because so many times people are not able to connect, so to speak, with the scriptures. And so we want to make sure that we connect with everybody. And so tonight, who's going to help with this discussion? Let me introduce everyone that's going to help me with this discussion tonight. Coming out of Tupelo, Mississippi, MISSISSI PPI. Yes, Tupelo. Minister Lauren.
Good evening, everyone.
Right? And then coming out of the south side of Chicago, even though she got 2 letters on her head, Catherine Bryce Smith. All right. So you all, and we want to say good evening to everyone that is viewing this right now. We're going to have a good time tonight. After the message, that's what After the Message is all about. All right, let's jump right on into it. All right. Though you slay me, yet will I trust in the Lord. My ways shall always be in front of him. Now, that's Brian's version. Okay, I just want to let y'all know that right now. It's probably not how it reads in the Bible, but I'm paraphrasing, right? My ways shall I keep, right? So we look at the message. Let me set the table real quick. So basically, the message yesterday, we looked at Job, and there's 6 people on, if you don't mind, if you would share this to your page. Definitely, when we look at the message on yesterday, Job, who was a righteous man, who was blameless, who was a priest of his house. He was the head of his house. right? He committed sacrifices for his children. Very wealthy man. Next thing you know, Satan is walking to and fro. And God is like, man, what you up to? He's like, just walking to and fro, trying to see what I can get into. You know what I'm saying? And so what happens is, he said, I'm looking for somebody that I can devour, right? And I'm not just looking for no anybody. And so God says, how about my servant Job? He said, oh, well, we know that I can't touch Job because you got a hedge of protection around him. So God said, I bet you this. He said, I bet you if I remove that hedge of protection, you touch everything, but you can't touch his soul. I bet you he won't sin against me. He does that. House catch on fire. Kids end up dying. Wealth being taken away from him. He's stricken with health challenges. And then now he's going through his grief. He's going through his process. And I Am the Church Ministries, we're in the waiting room series. And so the title of the sermon on yesterday was When Faithfulness and Circumstances Are at Odds. Because quite often, sometimes what you put out is sometimes you don't get it back at that very moment of that very season. You get it on down the line. So when you're being faithful and diligent, and we want to say welcome to everybody that's in the comment section. It's 5 people. If you don't mind, share it, like it. There was 3 points, probably 4. The first point was you got to be deep rooted in the God, right? And this deep roots into God is not a one-night stand, but it's an everlasting relationship with God, which means that I have to both meditate on his word day and night. I have to be planted like a tree. I have to be deep rooted in him. Jesus says those who follow and obey my teaching should be like a house built on the solid rock. Storms come, floods come, the house rocks, but the house stands forever. Lord have mercy. The second point, I believe I talked about staying in your place. In other words, what that looks like is when the storm do come, which would connect with the first point, is staying in your place. If I'm deep rooted in God, then I'm able to stay in my proper place. Because quite often circumstances have a way of dictating your path when God is the one who dictates your path. Then also the next point is we talk about they that wait upon the Lord should renew their strength. Well, most people are not waiting on the Lord when stuff is going on. They're waiting on a circumstance. So I said in the message yesterday, the word does not say they that wait on circumstances shall renew their strength. No, they that wait on God. So my question is, when you're in your waiting room, what are you waiting on? Are you waiting on the Lord, or are you waiting for things to change? Before things can change, I have to change. I need to wait on God so he can give me direction. All right. And so those were basically the points. So I just want to ask, open up the floor today. Have you all ever been in Job's shoes? And if you have, how did you respond to the adversity that you had to go through? Either for Minister Lauren or Catherine.
Yeah, I've had like a similar situation. Not totally, but you said, have we ever been in Joe's shoes? So I would say like I have felt like, I was losing everything, or felt like, I was in despair, and, I didn't know which way to turn, and things weren't quite working out for me in life. And so in situations like that, it's really difficult to be able to in my situation, put words to it, or be able to talk to someone about it, or, be open, because it's as though like I need time to process. Like I need to be able to, take everything in. And then I start thinking, there have been 2 separate times that I'm thinking about. One particular time, like there was no prayer involved. Okay. And then another time there was prayer involved. And I found that the difference between those 2 situations was I actually had a relationship with God. I was talking to God. I was able to like, whereas I wasn't able to talk to anyone else, I was able to really relay my feelings and my, desperate disposition. I was able to put that and lay that at God's feet and allow him to, handle it. And so it's not a good feeling whatsoever to be in a situation where you feel like you're losing. You feel like there's nothing that you can do to come out of the rut. That's not a good feeling at all. But I will say that, with God, things definitely being able to have that relationship with him makes all the difference.
Wow. So you said the first time, like in one of the situations, you didn't have prayer. The second situation, you did have prayer. Um, and so that's something. Um, that's amazing because a lot of times when we're going through those trials and tribulations, sometimes we do neglect prayer. And I have to admit, I've been in that position before. And you said something in which the next time I preach Job, next time y'all see me preaching out of that book, I'll name it Beyond My Control, right? Because there's a lot of things that are beyond your control that you cannot control whatsoever. And so you really have to rely on God, which is a task in itself. First of all, the circumstance is plaguing you, your mind, your spirit, but then also you got to rely on God. And sometimes relying on God, people ain't going to be real tonight, but sometimes relying on God can be tedious, right? Because our society teaches us stuff should be like this, be like that, be like that. And God does not work like that. So, and a lot of times because God is trying to work on us and our character. And so that's that. Kat, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Lauren said, it's like a lot of situation that I'm actually currently going through has gotten me to the point where it's like, okay, you just like it's a lot coming at you. You feel like there's so much coming at you right now, but just standing firm on God and praying and trusting that God will pull you through it is just amazing. It's an amazing feeling. Right now I have no doubts. No, I know God is like really gonna see me through this. I know God is gonna do what he does best. And it just like a lot of times you go through situations and you go through things that you ask God like why. But I mean, from asking God why to trusting him is way better than asking him why. So
Ooh. So you said asking God, trusting him is way better than asking God why. Can I ask you this? Why is that?
why ask God why? If you already know he's gonna pull you through. Why why ask God why if you trust and believe and God is gonna pull you through, then why ask him why?
Right. So that's a good thing, right? I mean, we all have that question, like, why me? Like, why am I going through this? Look at Job. Job being rich, he's blameless. Doesn't mean that Job was without sin. Uh, but Job was blameless. He had it going on. You know what I'm saying? He had a 401k. He had a 5-year plan. He had stock in the Bitcoin, and he had the Acorn app, and he was doing really good with that, right? Everything is going good, and it seemed like he's doing everything, but didn't know that God had offered him up in that situation. And quite often, sometimes in our walk with him and fulfilling our purpose, God offers us up for his glory, right? And so I want to walk through the scenario bit by bit, and then the last area we're going to touch is how do we minister? How do we connect with the Job of today? So the first thing is Job went through his crisis. His household is stricken. Family has died. He's hurt. And Job has responses to it. He says things like, man born of a woman is of a few days, and in those few days is full of trouble. Then also Job goes on and he also says, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. his wife ends up telling him, just curse God and die. And yet he responds with that, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He does not sin. He does not talk against God. Now that's something. It's easy to praise God when everything is going right, but then everything is going wrong. Trouble has a way of highlighting your commitment, right? How committed are you to something you cannot see, but only that you can experience, right? So, so how do you deal with his wife told him to curse God and die? How do you deal with a person like the wife? Now, in this context, the wife can be a family member, the wife can be a BFF or anybody. How do you all deal with that when sometimes some folks can try to talk you out of the faith? And she just having the emotional reaction, in my opinion. Her kids died, so okay. So she's having the emotional reaction. And, when you're emotional, you don't think clearly. But how do you all respond to something like that? Now, that's his wife. How do you all respond to somebody close to you?
Oh. Oh.
For me, I'm like, because being that that's his wife, and you could imagine that he's not the only one hurting in this situation. She's hurting, but also with him and the rest of his attacks and all of that, and just him being the head of household, him being the man, the one that's supposed to be leading, it's like, of course, I could kind of see in her instance, like she's probably blaming him. And there has to be something you did because I didn't do anything. And so dealing with someone that blames you for or puts you in that light of there has to be something that you did wrong. Dealing with them, I would say, first off, it's kind of if I can speak frankly and talk about Lauren, not Minister Lauren, but Lauren is like, look, get out my space, get out of my circle, because at this point in time, I'm not going to accept any kind of negativity. And so a lot of times I feel like as people of God, we are put in that light where we have to, we are seen as that person that's supposed to just keep taking the attacks, taking the backbiting, taking the people stabbing you in your back, taking the people that's talking about you behind your back, taking the, just people being rude and mean for no reason. But because you're labeled as a follower of Christ, you're not supposed to be able to say anything. You're not supposed to be able to do anything about it. And so, like, even with talking about Job's wife and what she said, him being a follower of Christ, well, not a follower of Christ, but someone who loved God, him being someone who, is faithful to God, I feel as though, there is some place in that particular story where, I can't say what Job, was like exactly feeling, but I know when I've been in the situation where someone was like literally attacking me or saying something, against what I know that God has placed within my life, or that God is working on me with, I know for a fact that I'm like, look, I'm going to pray for you, but also I'm not going to accept the negativity. And we have to realize as people of God that just because, and I'm not so sure if you all have seen the little post on social media, but it literally drives like a food for thought kind of thing. It's, I can forgive you without, allowing you to continue to, operate within my space or invite you into my space. And like, I feel like that's literally how, I in the past wish I had dealt with things like that. There have been times where people have done things to me, and I've kind of just taken them and quietly or whatever. And so a lot of times I feel like we are labeled as we're supposed to just take. Well, I feel like there is a loophole where honestly, it says the word says turn the other cheek, but after, you turn the other cheek, what happens, what I'm saying, if they do it again? My thing is, you can forgive, you can, even accept what it is that you're going through, but you also don't have to, consistently take the disrespect that people are giving out. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of, self-assurance and reassurance in God to know that you're in that light where you can actually have some peace in that situation.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing, man. See, and that's why the title, when faithfulness and circumstances are at odds. Job was faithful. He did what was right. And it's just like many of us. You're praying. Hopefully you accepted the prayer challenge, 5 a.m. and 12 p.m. Set your alarm clocks, you all. You're praying, you're meditating, you're studying, you're helping those that are vulnerable and less than. You're doing all of that, but yet you're hit with all of these things, right? And so not only are you hit with those things around you, so your possessions, the things that you're attached to, is hit, but now he's hit with a health challenge on top of that, right? So now it's like things are way out of your control. Like how do you deal with that? So now that's the wife, all right? So he had to deal with a wife. Then he has 3 friends, right? His 3 friends come around, and when somebody, we're gonna touch on this at the end, because the 3 friends did do something right in the beginning. They came, they didn't say anything, they wept, they supported, right? But then after a while, they begin to say, Job, you was the reason, you probably sinned, or probably your children did something. And it was almost as if they went from comfort to blaming, which is the wrong thing you want to do when somebody's going through grief or through challenges. They start to blame. Catherine, how do we deal with the folks who's supposed to be our support? How do we deal in our context, the church that's supposed to be our support, and they're doing the opposite of what is being preached and taught and what is spoke about in the word? How do you handle something like that?
I have so many church people, so many church friends. Man, they know me so well to know that if you're a part of my support system, I don't allow everybody to be in my support system. So for you to be in my support system, it's a privilege because I need you to uplift me, but I need you to tell me right from wrong. But then I don't need the negativity for you to feel that, well, it was your fault. This all happened to you for a reason. You did this wrong. I don't need that. So then so when that happens, all right. So let me go ahead and let you move on, because I'm like, I can't deal with you now. I gotta move somewhere else. But then they feel like you're not taking their support, and they feel like they telling you right. But if you don't fully know the situation, then how are you telling me right?
Mm.
So dealing with spiritual people, I feel like is you have to hear and know the full story to be able to know how how to how to talk about it, how to explain how you feel about the situation. Because if you don't know the full story, you take in bits and pieces, then you're gonna miss something, or you're gonna feel like, okay, well, maybe it's something was there that I did not get. So I feel like, as far as church people, just listening and knowing the person's situation and being able to be their support system and give them positive energy will give it's the best thing.
Okay. So them not knowing the full detail. Let me just labor on that point. Hopefully I don't labor too long on that, because I hate to say this about today's church. Now, I'm not talking about any specific organization, but I'm talking about today's church, right? It just seems as if the church only wants to get involved when tragic is happening, and everybody now has an opinion, and they call themselves ministering to you in that predicament. And meanwhile, they don't even know they digging you a deeper hole. And so it seems like we don't know how to comfort people or be a support for people when they're going through what they're going through. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to hear certain things like, hey, this ain't the time for that. Like, I'm not at that place. First of all, check in with the person and see where they are, right? Job he cursed the day he was born. He didn't want to be here no more. Like, oh my God. He went from riches to rags, right? And so, Catherine, you said something. You said, you don't need the negativity. Now you got to check people's vibes. You know, that's what we say nowadays. You know, in the church we say spirit. You know, in other places we say vibe. You know, and then other places we say energy. You know, all the same thing. But anyway, like you have to. I mean, because I told you, trouble has a way of detailing or showing your commitment or where you at with God, but then also trouble has a way of spotlighting the people around you and who they really are, right? So it's like in those times, in those comfort times, you all check in with the person and see where they at. You may be right here and the person may be right here and you trying to like speak life into them, and actually you don't even know, like you preparing their funeral right before their very eyes, right? So it's like, if my person is right here, I need to work myself down here where they are, and then gradually be able to take them from down here to up here. Now, you can't change the circumstance, but you could be a listening ear. You can hug them. You can do a whole lot of things. But then also, we got to be careful about inviting social media into our stuff too. Because had it been Job, can y'all picture Job getting on Facebook or going on Facebook Live? And I don't understand. I'm not throwing no shade at nobody. But how do you get on Facebook crying? I just don't know. That, but that's my stuff. You know what I'm saying? You press the live button, you just straight crying. But anyway, that's none of my business. All right, people do what they do. All right, I'm like, that takes a lot of effort for me. And so imagine Job getting everybody into his problem, into his business, right? And going through stuff like this can cause people to turn away from the faith. Right. So even his friends started blaming him. Like, man, you the reason why. Like you caused this, you sin. And just to show everybody, when we as believers go through things, it don't necessarily have to be because we sin. Believers sin? Yes, believers sin. Okay. It does not necessarily mean because we sinned and did something wrong. But what Job did not know was God had offered him up. And how many of us, because we say God gives his toughest challenges to his toughest soldiers, we say that. But how do we know in a situation where it's not a situation where God is just offering us up? This is our hour. I'm working on the message now. I'm talking about your hour. I think that'll be first Sunday message. Your hour. How do you prepare for your hour? Job is able to connect with Christ, him being blameless and all that. Got offered up. How about my servant? And this is what happened with Jesus. All right. So as we go over to the next part, and this is the final piece tonight. And I appreciate everybody in the comment section. Again, like, share this live. How do we as a church help the Jobs of today? Now, when I talk about church, I ain't talking about organization. I'm talking about organism. I'm talking about the body, the members, not people who are members of I Am Church. No. You're the church. Us, we are, right? How do we as a church help the Jobs? That could be in our congregation, that can be in our neighborhoods, that can be in our households, that could be on our jobs. How do we as a church help minister to the Jobs?
I think I think just leading them towards, like, helping them get to a place where they know they can trust God in their circumstances, in their situation, and their problems. Praying for them, checking in with them, making sure, like, they're fine, and making sure, like, their process is not such a burden on them. Like, letting it be that they, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Letting them know that, it's okay. Like, everybody goes through it. We all have, like, a situation. We all have a problem, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So I think that's some ways, like, you can.
Okay.
I think also being there, just like Joe's friends were at the beginning, just don't flip the script like they did. There is an image that comes to mind where there was a cartoonist that tried to depict sympathy versus empathy. And, it had the person standing up on the hill, and then there was like a hole or whatever, and there was a ladder. And so sympathy is literally looking down on them and saying, hey, you're all right. But empathy is, taking that ladder, going on down and sitting with them and, trying to understand where it is that they're coming from, what's going on, just understanding the situation, not feeling sorry for them, but just letting them know that you're there. And so I think as us being the church, it's important for us to use that empathy, and literally spiritual empathy, in knowing that we're not the ones that can fix their situation. We're not the ones that can, just make it all better. However, we can be there as support. We can be there to come to their aid. And I think that, and I hate for this to be a little cliche, but this is why I'm so passionate about I Am the Church Ministries, is because we're literally the ones that are here for the community and the ones that are wanting to help. And, not, instead of just telling you what you should be doing, it's about showing you through the way that we live, through the way that we act, through the way that we treat others, how it is that Jesus really, was doing the work while he was here on earth. And so I think that it's important for us as believers, as church, as the organism, to just be aware of what it is that's going on with our brothers and sisters in Christ and meet them where they are. And just sometimes all it takes is a conversation. Sometimes all it takes is just, understanding where it is that they are and being a listening ear, and just showing that you care and you love them. Sometimes that's all it takes. And a lot of times I think that, people want to put their mouths on certain situations and certain people. And us as the church, we should be the ones that's not, talking about others, not putting our mouths on the situation or the people, but being there. And that is offering up prayer. That is, changing the way that we approach a situation. In your message, you said, trouble isn't always related to something that you did wrong. And so the thing about it is helping them understand it might not be anything that you did, to cause these things to come upon you. And even if it is, look, God is a forgiving God. So you can get through this. And just being that shining light that they literally can see in this dark world.
Wow. So Catherine says checking in on them. Minister Lauren is saying be there for them, comfort them, check in with them, meet them where they are. And meeting them where they are constitutes you understanding everything that's going on before you can give a response or before you can have empathy, being empathetic towards what they're doing. Sister Galloway says, have a listening ear, pray along with them, check their needs, right? If you're only just praying for the person, but you haven't like reached out and check in with them, and you have an opportunity where you can be of service and of help, you're not helping the person, right? Prayer is good, is good, it's important, yes. But then also how God works through us, we have resources that we may can allocate. Minister, you also said something else. We can't change their situation. And that's very true. We have to learn, we can't necessarily change their situation, right? So when Texas power went down south, their power went out. Necessarily us up north couldn't necessarily do anything to change the power situation. However, we can empathize. You know, we can try to send support however we can, right? We can try to check in as much as we can, just to have somebody know, like, hey, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? And that's how, like what Minister said, that's how the church can be the church, right? The church is not just a building on the corner. Church is a living being, so it's within us. And so this is how we can be supportive of others, meeting them where they are. How do we meet people where they are? Understand their circumstances and then understand how they feel about their circumstance, right? And then from there on, you can just be that presence. You know, people don't understand the ministry of presence, right? The ministry of presence. My father had a way of walking into a room and he can light up the room and didn't have to say anything. You know, Minister Lauren, her father, had a way of lighting up a room, just being present, right? Those are things that our presence alone can provide relief to those who are stricken with so much. And it's not a situation where we just throw scripture at people. Oh, you're supposed to, they that wait upon the Lord, be not dismayed, whatever be tired. God, it's like, whoa, like I'm not there yet, right? So, and I said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And a lot of times, a lot of us, if we're in a position like Job, we're waiting on our circumstances to change. When in fact, we should be waiting on God, right? Because the circumstances may not change, but your attitude can change. The way you look at it can change. Your perception of what's going on around you could change, right? God can minister because God can give a word before he changes your circumstances, right? And so there's many Jobs out there. There's many Jobs in many congregations. And we have to be there. The word tells us, and I'm done. We're done. Compassion. When I looked up that word compassion, it wasn't just simply meaning just show that you're there for them or anything like that. Compassion means you actually get inside the suffering or the struggle with the person as well. And that's what Jesus did with us. And that's what Jesus does with us. He gets inside the struggle with us. If the church is going to be the church, don't be like Job's friends and start blaming and start casting aside. No, we get in the struggle with that person, right? We get inside the struggle with the person. But now, let me say this. The role that you're supposed to play in that person's life while they're going through whatever they're going through, let that person decide that. Right? We don't decide like what's our role. This is what you got to do, blah, blah. No, that they may not be ready for that. But that person will let you know what they need from you, right? But then also as believers, because we can get kind of weak in some things, to have those people that can carry us back to God and just having that support. And so I appreciate anybody else got anything they want to add to that.
Well, yeah. So you said in your message, you said, can God offer you up? This was one of the questions that you asked. And so, my question would be, just to go along with that, what happens when the hedge is taken down from around the people of God in 2021? We often look at Job's situation, and there is a change in the times. There is a change in how people react to things, and what resources are available now, and how people go about their daily lives. And so my question would be, like, what happens in 2021 when the hedge is taken down? Because at this point, with all of the resources that are available to us, but not only that, just the spiritual aspect of the hedge being taken down. Do we get stronger in the word? Do we get bogged down by daily life because of our schedules and things that people are pulling us in different directions and things like that? And so that's just one of the questions that came to mind, as far as something that you brought up in the message is what happens when the hedge is taken down? And it's literally something to think about. And have you been in that situation, between, last year and this year? Has the hedge been taken down? And it's just, just a rhetorical question that we can literally ask ourselves every day, because it's all about preparation. It's all about getting ourselves ready for the war at hand. And the war is not going to be a physical battle. And the war is not a physical battle currently. It's literally a spiritual thing. And so are you ready for whatever it is that is coming your way? And can God offer you up? That really stuck with me when you said that, because I'm like, okay, am I ready for God to offer me up? Am I ready for the hedge to be taken down? And we literally, as people of God, have to be ready and stay ready.
Amen. Whoa. There you go. Yes, drop a ton of bricks before we end. You know what I'm saying? I love it. Yes. Yeah, but I mean, that's true, people of God. It is a spiritual battle out here. We are at war. Our flesh is at war. Our spirit is at war. Within us, we have all these battles and wars going on. And so, as Minister Lawrence said, how do you prepare? Like, once that hedge get taken away from you, what do you do? Do you get stronger in the word? Or do you lead a faith? Anybody else want to add? Yep. So that's what After the Message is to bring it up close in person. And so, again, you all, this has been a phenomenal conversation after the message. And it gives us something to pray about. Listen, if you on this live right now, accept the prayer challenge. I invite you to accept, no pressure, by the way. But accept the prayer challenge. 5 a.m., 12 p.m. All right. Monday through Friday. Right. And that prayer challenge, it would start to develop from a challenge to a lifestyle. And so that's what we look to promote. And so again, we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in to After the Message. This has been phenomenal. We thank God for Sister Catherine Ray Smith. We thank God for Minister Lauren. And we thank God for each and every one of you that have tuned in. You may be traveling, could be at home, wherever you are, but you took the time to tune in to After the Message. Again, follow our fan page at I Am the Church Ministries. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at I Am the Church. You can also catch us over on Twitch at I Am the Church Ministries. All right. And then also we invite each and every one of you to go visit the website. If you have not visited the website, go visit the website. If you know people that are struggling mentally with stuff, if you go over to our website, we actually have resources that can help people, give professional help, that can give those persons that professional help that they may need. All right. And just because you get professional help, that does not mean you're crazy. All right. Because all of us need professional help. Praise God. And so with that, we are done. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you all next. Well, we'll see you Sunday. Well, actually, we'll see you Wednesday night at 7 o'clock for the inspirational word. We'll see you Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Then come join us Sunday, 10 o'clock, 12:30. All right. And then we'll be back here next week at 5 o'clock for After the Message. We appreciate you all.